Hi students, it's me, your teacher Riki, and welcome back to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Today, we are diving even further into the realm of Harry Potter. I know I've said that every single lesson so far, but it has been true every time so far, right? Now before we get started though, I invite you guys to join me in a couple of deep breaths in through our noses and out through our mouths. So here we go, ready? One more time. Nice. As human beings, I think that sometimes we forget to breathe. And I know that sounds silly, but for me, I know that sometimes I'll go through my entire day and get home and realize that I'm tense and tight and have been subconsciously holding my breath for the entire day. So I enjoy taking a nice couple of deep breaths with you guys because I think it helps for at least me to get centered and to feel more grounded in my space so that we can really dive into everything we're doing today. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and get started. If you'll remember, last time we were talking about how the next few lessons are going to be talking about we're diving deeper into each of the specific houses of Hogwarts. We're going to be talking about what kind of characteristics and traits each of them has that we can find in ourselves even if we're not necessarily a member of that house. Because the point of these lessons is to kind of see what kind of traits and characteristics exist within all of us that connect us as human beings and help us realize that even if we're all in a different house, we're not that different from each other, right? So, last time we focused on Gryffindor. Today's lesson is focused entirely on Slytherin House. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking. Slytherin is the house of the bad guys. Slytherin is the house that is in fact the complete opposite from my house. And those of you who are Slytherin, I'm sure, are thinking, geez, why is it that we get such a bad rep? Why does everyone think Slytherins are bad guys? That's not always the case. Or maybe if you're a Slytherin, you enjoy being a Slytherin because it is that you are a villain. Maybe you enjoy that part of yourself. No matter what your opinion about Slytherin House is, we're going to be diving deeper into what exactly it means to be a Slytherin today. And I'm going to show you how. Before we get too far though, let's go ahead and review what kind of traits Slytherins have. Now, Slytherin's external traits include things like ambition and success. They are motivated entirely by success, and they like to get ahead, whatever the cost. But while success is certainly an admirable thing to strive for, it is when the drive for success becomes a need for status that proves Slytherin's less than savory reputation. Now, I know that for me as a Ravenclaw, I would love to have a little bit more ambition and drive that Slytherins exhibit almost always. That's something I really admire about Slytherins. So, now let's dive further into the activity that you're doing with me today. Today, we're going to start figuring out how to create scenes on our own. Since we're doing creative drama and we're still doing Harry Potter, we're going to try and mesh the two together, and we're going to figure out how to create scenes all on our own. We're going to become kind of our own playwrights. Don't worry, that might sound a little bit daunting, but I'm going to help you break it down so that it's not that difficult at all. Now, how should we come up with a scene? Well, before we figure out how to do that, we need to know what kind of elements exist in one. Now, an easy way to remember what kind of elements you need to put when writing a scene is to remember the acronym CROW. Now, I'm going to break down what crow means. Crow, like the bird, C-R-O-W. We are going to talk about what each of those letters mean, and then we're going to relate it to the world of Harry Potter, and then we're going to go from there, okay? So, here is my example. Here is my illustration of crow. And now I really hope that it's not flipping on the camera because I can't remember how the video works. I hope that you can read this properly and that it's not like we're talking in a mirror. If that's the case though, it's okay, we're still gonna break it down. Now, crow essentially starts with all of our elements for a good scene. The C, let's go ahead and talk about C first. C stands for characters. Who are the characters when writing a scene? If we're talking about Harry Potter, the main characters we can probably assume are safe to say are Harry, Ron, and Hermione. That's who they are. Next on Crow, we have R, and the R stands for relationships. Now, the relationship simply means how are these characters related? If we're talking Harry Potter, Harry, Ron, and Hermione all become best friends, and they start as first years at Hogwarts together. That's their relationship. They then end up in Gryffindor House all together, and eventually end up going on all sorts of magical journeys that make them best friends. So that's what their relationship is. Next in Crow, we have the O, and the O stands for objective. Now, objective sounds like a big word perhaps, but objective just simply means what is it that each character wants. In the first Harry Potter book, The objective is essentially to start to fit in Hogwarts for all of them, and then when things start to get heated, the objective for Harry, Ron, and Hermione is to try and stop Snape from stealing the Sorcerer's Stone. Even though in the end we find out that Snape was trying to protect the stone the whole time, initially that is what Harry, Ron, and Hermione's objective starts out as. That's what they want. That's the kind of thing that propels the story forward and keeps the audience invested, because we want to see whether or not the characters are going to get what it is that they want. Our final letter in Crow is W, and W simply stands for the where. The where does the scene take place? Pretty easy in the world of Harry Potter, right? The where is for the most part primarily Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. They're spending their entire first year there, and while sometimes we do go out to other places within the magical world of Harry Potter, our primary action typically does take place within and on the grounds of Hogwarts. Now, it's simply those 4 things are all you need to get you started when you're making your own scenes. Let's review Crow. C is for characters, R for relationships, O for objective, and W for where. Voila. Now, I invite you guys, now that I've kind of given you an example of how it fits into Harry Potter, I invite you guys all to start up and create your own Crow made up entirely. Now, we're going to, since you guys are all wizards and having your first year, you can go ahead and be your main characters when inventing your own scenes. I invite you to go ahead and create a scene within your own particular magical world of Harry Potter and go ahead and include all of these elements. For an added challenge, since we are talking about about Slytherin House today, I invite you to create characters who maybe are a member of Slytherin House, and for an extra challenge, maybe those guys aren't the villains. Maybe they're the heroes of their own story. Whatever you want. Like I said, every time we give you an assignment, it's entirely up to you guys what you do with it. It's completely open to interpretation. This is your time to be as creative as you want. But please feel free to rewind this video to remind you what Crow means, whatever you gotta do. I look forward to seeing what all kinds of crazy lessons plans and scenes you guys can come up with for yourselves. Now that we've done the hard part of the lesson, although I don't think it was terribly hard, right? We're going to jump to McKenzie. However, I don't think she's McKenzie right now. I think she's Professor Snape. And you're going to get a look a little deeper into what exactly it means to be a Slytherin. Bye, guys.
Hello, students. It is I, your Professor Severus Snape. I would like you all to turn to page 394. Very well. Today we will be discussing verbs and adverbs. It would be in your best interest if you knew what these 2 things are. So for those of you who do not pay attention in class, I will explain. A verb is an action word, something that you can physically do. An adverb is a word that can describe a verb. Example: the horse pranced gracefully. In this sentence, the verb is pranced because the horse physically did it. The adverb is gracefully because it described how the horse pranced. Now, in today's activity, I will be asking you to do certain verbs, and then I will throw out different adverbs for you to change the way you are doing said verb. Let's begin. First, I would hope that you are in a space where you can move about, because I will be asking you to move. I would like you to start walking. Just walk like normal at first. Now I would like you to walk proudly. How can you walk proudly? You are a Slytherin, so show it. Now walk boldly. How can you show boldness in your footsteps? Now, I would like you to walk quietly. Quietly. How about slyly? Walking about the room slyly like a Slytherin. Great. Now I would like you to begin crawling. Down on the ground, perhaps an army crawl, or on all fours. Crawling around the room normally at first. Just a simple crawl. Now I would like you to begin crawling quickly. Quickly crawling, your movements faster. Intensity, show intensity in your movements. Something is after you. Moving as quickly as a spider. Crawling really quickly, and now I would like you to stop and slowly crawl. Crawling slowly instead. Crawling around the ground more like a snake. Being sneaky. Slowly crawling. And now I would like you to stand back up and begin stomping. Stomping around the room. What kind of emotion do you feel when you're stomping? I would like you to feel angry. I would like to see angrily stomping. How can you show anger through your stomps? Now I would like you to try and stomp quietly. How can we stomp quietly? What type of emotion do you think that details? Are you still angry, but masking your anger? Quietly stomping. They contradict each other a little, don't they? And now I would like you to stomp dramatically. Completely dramatically. Stomping around the room like a toddler. Stomp, stomp, stomp. What kind of magical creature that we know of probably stomps around like this, ruining everyone's day? Stomping around the room. And now I would like you to stand still. Standing still. Very good job today, everyone. Thank you for joining me in that activity. And I hope we understand verbs and adverbs better now, and how we can put them into action. 10 points to Slytherin. Wow! Who would have thought that a class with Severus Snape would actually be kind of fun? Alright, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed your day with us. I hope you enjoyed learning more about Crow. I hope you understand more of what that is, and I'm super excited for you guys to start creating your stories. And I want to reiterate the challenge that Riki gave earlier. Try not to make them all villains. Because, Slytherin does get kind of a bad rap, but so do a lot of different types of people within the world getting bad raps for no real reason. There's always redeeming qualities within every group there is. For example, I'm a Gemini, and if you know anything about zodiacs, Geminis kind of get a bad rap too, because we're the sign that is technically two-faced. We're the twin sign. So some people like to say, oh, well, you're fake, you're two-faced, right? But I see it as I can just get along with many, many different types of people, and I might just have a different personality presented with one type of person versus another. So it's not always negative, and it doesn't always have to be bad, and not all Slytherins are bad. We find out in the stories that Severus Snape actually isn't the worst of guys, and Draco Malfoy, while annoying, he does have some redeeming qualities about himself as well. So keep that in mind while you write your stories, and I hope that you will all join us next week for some more awesome Harry Potter fun.